Now that I've been checked out of the mental asylum Baby Corp dragged me into, and now that I've snuck my way back into the recording studio to take another crack at this conspiracy thing I got going on, I deeply regret all of my decisions and want to return to the simpler days. The days of me not knowing how to YouTube and creating poorly animated animation memes for the cringe fanfics I still write today. Unfortunately, my cringe has mutated into this monstrosity of a series, and I simply must follow the impulsive high to lead me to even cringier results. To be honest, someone said I couldn't, and I have a track record of increasingly stupid and petty ass behavior. So I watched it. I watched all 4 seasons. As if Boss Baby wanted to throw in one last gut punch to me, it had to make the show 4 goddamn seasons long. Who could possibly need this much Boss Baby? Either way, I approached this show expecting to find more evidence supporting my previous claims and wipe my hands clean of this whole mess, with plenty of scenes to support my theory. Yet, as I walked into the theater that is my dorm room and sat at my laptop and watched this show, I could only sit in awe as I realized one simple fact. They're going to kill us all. Everyone in this show is doomed. This world will not survive another 10 years under their grasp. I give them 5 at most, considering by the end of the series, the most competent employee they harshly conditioned into their ideal cult worker retires and officially goes back to being a baby. An actual baby this time. I tried to think of any more better theories, but everyone in this world is so inherently stupid, I think it's hopeless to try and piece together a story from the scrap paper at the bottom of my parents' shredder. I could tolerate rewatching the movies. This show took me ages to watch because I had to strap myself to the couch and watch it, suffering the whole way. It ruined an animation I was working on because I started to associate the two of them. I think how plain stupid everyone is in this show makes it so unbearable. I debated several times just dropping this video essay and fleeing to Europe to become a sheep farmer when it hit me. If there is a world out there where these people exist, it means that something inherently went wrong with either their birth or environment that caused this outcome. And who's in charge of babies? Baby Corp. Obviously, this isn't a foolproof theory, but it's a theory spawned from the depths of desperation and reaching. Let me have this. Everyone is stupid all of the time. So thoroughly stupid that the mere presence of 6 well-placed cats destroys the functionality of an entire town within 1 day. 6 cats. They don't even directly do anything other than sit there or swim. Just by these cats existing, the entire population has the water and electricity shut down, the mayor out of action, and a general crisis on their hands. Why do they have no backups for this open body of water being infected with something, considering it's their only water source? I have no fucking idea. I feel like there should be a lot more care being put into how this town is managed, but considering that the mayor has a single book of everything he plans to do for this town that can be easily tampered with ideas he's willing to accept despite not remembering writing them down, I think it's safe to say that the power of this town is completely fucked. Not to mention, the police have shown to also be incompetent as well. The main police officer we see willingly arrests babies if given the chance, and also defends a cat being a police officer. They gained at least 30 tickets within 1 day because of this cat, and this police officer not once sat down and questioned why this usually well-behaved family was suddenly being found of crimes left and right. There's also a villain who is an old woman who manages to perfectly disguise herself as a baby, but this is never explained or looked into. The fact that this old woman can pretend to be a baby and get away with it is just downright ugh. Not to mention how she gives this stinkless serum. The serum that old people were specifically after for Boss Baby to hide in his house before setting herself to be captured so that they could get back the formula. I don't know why she had to make such a convoluted and specific plan when old people could have just hidden in the shadows and just won. The parents are actually blind when it comes to their children and are so fucking stupid that they probably would have lost custody in our world. Example is that the parents get a late call at night from a stranger telling them to go see if their children are in their rooms or not. And then the parents discover that the children are missing and never question that this mysterious person who called them might have kidnapped them or not. I would have thought that the threat was from someone that kidnapped them underneath my nose and was holding them for ransom. How the hell did the parents just gloss over the stranger calling them about the whereabouts of their children without a care in the world? Of course, the babies are stupid too, which is to be expected. In one episode, there's a doctor's office that has a doctor making some bad jokes with some unpleasant furniture. Instead of simply sneaking in at night to fix it, the babies repeatedly injure themselves in order to get access to the doctor's office and make changes to these things that they don't even need to change. This is just a problem with the writing, but what if it wasn't? What if all this was a direct result of Baby Corp being the sole producer of infants for the world? After all, we know for a fact that Baby Corp is behind the production and distribution of babies, and we also know that they have the right to take babies back to factory reset them if they misbehave too much. Which is, another point proving that Baby Corp is a cult who wants to make babies rule the world, but I already made 2 videos about it, so I'm just gonna... Yep, looks good. The sheer stupidity of everyone can be blamed on Baby Corp and their production methods. From Season 4, we know that Baby Corp is willing to cut down unnecessary programs to save a buck if needed. Who's to say that they didn't cut down on production costs of infants? I don't know how they're made at Baby Corp, and frankly, I don't want to know. But we do know that they are produced on a factory conveyor belt, which means that there's a cost behind it. We don't know for sure if Baby Corp's practices are behind the decline in intelligence, but I'm going to blame them anyway since it makes my life easier, and it makes watching this show just a little bit more endurable. It's kind of ironic that Baby Corp, a business very strictly built around the idea of infants running it, is so terribly run. In Season 3, they go through CEOs so fast that there's a new one every episode. Their turnover rate is terrible. The fact that they repeatedly get enemies of people who just seem to know they exist is kind of embarrassing, especially since it's proven that people's heads can become scrambled if babies show that they are coherent. This means that the very existence of Baby Corp itself is detrimental to the mental health of adults around the world. Baby Corp has a terrible track record of people finding out that they are coherent, especially considering that their staff are infants who have shown poor impulse control. One single bad broadcast could wipe out the entire adult population. The fact that Baby Corp is in charge of the entire population's numbers is terrifying, considering just how many enemies easily break into their base. In fact, they accidentally seal themselves into a binding contract to rent out office space for puppies, an enemy of theirs that has a repeated history of killing babies. The show glazes over that, but the context is pretty obvious. This shows that Baby Corp doesn't even bother to look over contracts with threats to their safety properly. Throughout the series, we meet the Baby Corp board of directors in charge of management over the whole company, and they barely participate within the company, other than firing and hiring CEOs rapidly just because they aren't willing to step in and manage the company themselves. All they do is float in a void and give vague orders and advice from time to time. They also have barely any implemented security, I just need to point that out real quick. I think the fact that they're babies has a major play into this. All of their internal fights are meaningless and downright petty, with stupid motivations and mood swings everywhere. Giving people with irrational mood swings and a dependency on a special formula power over the protection of humanity seems counterproductive. All it takes is for one mistake for the production of infants to be stopped, or for a broadcast to go off where most adults will instantly get their minds scrambled. I think the worst part of all this is that the safety of the world depends on this company. If they stop functioning, babies are not produced and distributed to families. Just so you know, that's sort of like important to having future generations and continuing our population. Just something to think about. And if they don't get shut down, or don't create such masses of stupid babies that the world leads to destruction on its own, or doesn't accidentally reveal themselves and create a chain reaction that gets a massive portion of the adult population wiped out, they have a barrage of enemies who will make sure to defeat them. If it's not kittens, if it's not puppies or fellow babies, it could be someone looking for fucking rental space. Every enemy in the show at some point manages to sneak into Baby Corp. Their security is non-existent and their practices are all over the place. Considering that the main entrance is accessed through teleportation, you would think that it would be a little bit more difficult for intruders to get in. Their safety protocols are so loose and bare bones that several villains easily triumph over Baby Corp, with only convenient miracles saving their business. This would be fine if this was a normal company, but it's not. They directly control our population, what babies go to what houses, and their actions are shown to have a direct impact on if people even want to have babies or not. Not to mention how they have a secret to immortality in their grasp that could easily fall into the wrong hands like it did in the first movie. The villains that almost defeat Baby Corp shows how easy this is. The first season has a man obsessed with cats. There's a furry joke here somewhere, I'm just too lazy to make it. This man, like I said earlier, manages to shut down an entire town with 6 cats from the Baby Corp headquarters. While he doesn't do this on a global scale, he proves how easy it is to dissuade reproduction and how easily opposing species can shut down functioning systems of government. The second season only continues this, as old people start directly fighting babies for common resource interests they have, like diapers and soft food. Babies and old people opposing one another starts to create a scarcity in things like bananas and babysitters, and if this went worldwide, it could have lasting impacts. Season 3 demonstrates a man who is immune to the discovery of babies and is good at speaking and manipulating them. He kidnaps Ted with the full intent to broadcast his baby across the world, which would cause thousands of adults to become mindless babbling husks of their former selves. There is no known cure for this. If Baby Corp didn't throw out adult mind knowledge bombs into the environment, this wouldn't be a risk. Season 4 is pretty much a collage of random smaller villains that all teamed up together and become a threat more because of that. But their actions do cause Baby Corp to lose entire access to their office, and babies are scattered around the world without parents or extra formula. Imagine that for a second, can you? You're a baby with dependence on intelligence-boosting youth formula and are ejected from your home office and cast out somewhere random into the world while you are on the run. You have a limited supply of formula before you become a drooling, mindless mess of a normal infant. You don't know where you are, you have no family and no support system, and the formula doesn't last forever. You need a new supply before you become a lost, homeless baby. But you can't get one because this random group of people infiltrated your supplier and stopped production. Yeah, that's kind of terrifying, right? Baby Corp's existence is endangering to the population. It would make much more sense for this company to instead be a smaller group of adults who focus on keeping this factory running and eliminate any targets to babies if they do come up, but ultimately stay in the shadows. Instead, for some cultish, narcissistic reason, they keep babies as babies. Small, helpless creatures. Except for Stacy. She's gonna become a serial killer when she grows up. I have faith in her. As you can see, this video has less than the other two. There's a few reasons for this, all of them as excuse-filled and self-pitying as the rest. First of all, this season has a lot of lore expansion, but also directly contradicts the movies in several aspects. Specifically regarding Ted's character arc, which the movie entirely completed on its own, yet this one draws out the same baby wants to become a CEO and finds he wants to be with a family all along, just over 4 excruciating seasons. Another example is Jimbo and Stacy's characters, with Stacy being the airheaded one in the movie, while Jimbo is down to draw blood, yet the two feel almost completely flipped personality-wise. So I'm marketing this movie off as a separate universe from the original since it feels off from the original. Sort of in the same way off-brand tastes different from branded food, like the cheap Easter candy that tastes like chalk compared to actual chocolate. I really did hate this series as well. Even if I don't like the Boss Baby movies, at least my friends and I had a blast watching them. We ordered pizza, we cracked jokes, and grew closer together, like soldiers out on a battlefield. We didn't have the same experience with this series. I booted it up and expected for us all to have a fun time. We lasted a whole second before the rap intro started, and we realized that we may have come across the one series too absurd even for us. It took 3 episodes for one of my friends to quit, running off into the hallway, never to be seen again. It was a slaughter, my friends dropping like flies to go do something else. My notes to range from detailed moments of each episode to short snippets before begging for God to answer why he has forsaken me. So no, I don't think I can make a long video about this series. I could go in depth regarding it, but the show's writing isn't really that good, and it's not the type of bad I can critique for hours on end like the movies. It was a headache to sit through, and that rap is going to haunt me in my sleep. I really did try to find something to add to my previous theories, but frankly this show just isn't for me. I can't stand when characters make stupid decisions for plot reasons. It's a major pet peeve of mine, and this show is ripe of it. If you enjoy the show, you have an inherent ability that I do not possess. Overall, I think my 2 previous theories are conclusive enough in their own rights. The series doesn't really add anything to them since the series is so starkly different from the movies. I think I can officially fold my towel and quit now. It's about time I get back to Arcane now that I'm done with Boss Baby. Season 2 just dropped and it looks really good so far, so it's about time I go watch it. Aw, come on!